serving a community ministry as publisher of the Valley's weekly newspaper. She receives her Master of Divinity from Star King School for Ministry in 2010. She will be speaking on Nothing is Everything.
There's so much trouble in the world. It weighs heavy on me. I imagine it weighs heavy on you as well. And while the next hour may or may not be amazingly illuminating, it is a time to find comfort in facing this staggering world together. I pray for this world, its people, under siege with war and ideology. I pray for our country that teeters on the tenets of a government for the people, by the people. I pray for moderate Republicans, indeed for all of us, to gather the strength to stand up and represent democracy and the ideal of one nation under God with liberty and justice for all. I pray for the children who bear the brunt of the obsessions of tyrants. My heart breaks with their collective suffering. I fear what damage will result from this trauma. With a ragged breath, I breathe deeply, remembering the natural rhythms of the earth, rejoicing in its bounty, in the beauty of this morning's snow, even as I mourn. I come to the understanding that my role, our role, is to bring a loving energy with a commitment to peace, justice, and equity into our aching world. Today's service, this 1 hour, is an opportunity for us to be together, experiencing that there is a connection between us and a shared commitment to action, to reflection, and to creative and collective growth. It is an opportunity on this first Sunday of 2024 to look inside and find ourselves standing firmly in a world that needs us to be fully present. We start with a poem by Rumi, a 13th century Sufi mystic, that speaks of the nature of the natural world and how it reflects our own inner perspective.
The world is a mountain. Whatever you say, good or bad, it will echo it back to you. Don't say I sang nicely and mountain echoed an ugly voice. That is not possible. The human intellect is a place where hesitation and uncertainty take root. There is no way to overcome this hesitation except by falling in love. To reach the sea and be happy with a jug of water is a waste. The sea that has pearls and 100,000 other precious things.
I don't know about you, but I find myself feeling quite powerless in the face of the challenges that face both the world at large and my own corner of it as a publisher of a local community newspaper. Not unlike other industries, there is no sustainable business model for the continuation of news coverage and dissemination. Quite simply, it costs more to produce the news than the amount of revenue that can be raised by it. I wake in the morning with a sense of anxiety and lack of agency and doubt to effect the change that is needed to alter the situation. For that, I grieve. In one sense, there's nothing that I alone can do to overcome large systemic obstacles, obstacles like geopolitical maneuvering, climate change, exemplified today with a January snowstorm that will dump at least a foot of snow on the region and then turn to high temperatures and rain come midweek. The rise of social media addiction, the demise of local news, community cohesion, and our ability to talk to one another. Pretty much everything is in this realm is beyond my personal sphere of influence. Imagine that we could draw a very large circle and label it things that we have no control over. In that large circle, we could put massive storms, traffic jams, delayed planes, actions of other people, countries that wage war on others, the proliferation of toxic plastics and petrochemicals that flood our bodies, our food, our homes, our world, melting ice caps, rising seas, islands of plastic choking life in the ocean. But inside that large circle is a smaller circle, and that represents everything that we can control. And that is our reaction and response to all of the things that are out of our control. What we have control over when we listen to the poets and the musicians is how we make meaning and find perspective. With nothing to do to change the large obstacles, we can change our consciousness. We can do what we do. Of course, not single-handedly, but powerfully, as a coalition, as partners, as organizations, as a congregation. When we understand that there's nothing to be done alone, it opens up a space of what can be done that is limitless. This is our legacy. This is what is bequeathed to us. Poet Gregory Orr explains it this way.
This is what was bequeathed us. This earth the beloved left, and leaving, left to us. No other world but this one. Willows and the river and the factory with its black smokestacks. No other shore, only this bank on which the living gather. No meaning but what we find here. No purpose but what we make. That and the beloved's clear instructions. Turn me into song, sing me awake.
Most days, I cannot sing myself awake. The weight of the world weighs too heavy on my mind. We live in this gathering storm, and oftentimes I look to exemplars that help me in understanding. Otto Schwarmer of MIT Presencing Institute is one of those people. And here is what he writes in his year-end blog. It has been the hottest year on record. Each month from June to November has broken previous ceilings. It has been a year of escalating polarization and conflicts. Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. And it has been a year of AI, the arrival of generative artificial intelligence, reshaping human experience and societal structures in ways that were unimaginable just a few years ago. But the underlying themes, he said, of those three phenomena are as follows. We collectively create results that no one wants. We can't do more of the same, even though we try. The challenges we face require us to look into the mirror of the whole system. In that mirror, we see ourselves and our potential to shift the inner place of operating by opening our minds, to shift our thinking from silo to a systems view, opening our hearts to shift our relationships from toxic to transformative, and opening our wills to shift our action from ego to an echo understanding of the world. It's a paradox, really, that when we look at the mirror of the whole system, we see ourselves and our potential to shift our inner place. There, as hapless characters bandied around by the off-kilter system, we find the possibility of shifting our thinking from our private silos to a system view, to opening our hearts to shift our relationships from toxic to transformational, and opening our wills to shift our action from ourselves to the whole. It's counterintuitive in a way, in looking at the whole, that we find our own intimate connection. Let us ponder this as we listen to Leah Morrison's reflection on the winds of change that our time is calling forth.
Hear the wind of change. 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 You can feel the wind of change. The healing wind of change. See, we can see the wind of change. We can be the wind of change.
The winds of change is a shift in our thinking, A shift from being ego-centered to being echo-centered. With the winds of change, we decenter ourselves so that we can shift our thinking from our individual perspective to a whole system's outlook. It's not about you or me or the troubles we face. It's about the collective us. When there's nothing to do, everything is possible. Schwarmer writes, shifting the source of our thinking from our existing bubbles and silos, ego, to the ecosystem around us, echo, may sound like a small thing, but it affects everything. Thinking creates the world. Real, deep thinking, that is, creating something from nothing, is among the few things that machines, including generative AI, can't do. In one sense, the shift that is necessary is not about doing. It's about becoming. It's about the inversion of our relationships from transactional or toxic to transformational. It's about shifting the origin of our actions from inside to beyond the collapsing boundary of our ailing systems. We see this happening in lots of places around the world where, in moments of crisis, systemic breakdown, and existential need, people are rising to the occasion and helping each other. It's about seeing the humanity in the other, even as they are making bad choices. I think about this with the reckless driver who passes me on a double yellow line, rather than the seemingly appropriate and unconscious assessment, asshole. I remind myself to wish that driver a safe trip home. When there is nothing to do, everything is possible. It is possible to be at peace, centered, focused on safe driving, holding the humanity of the thoughtless driver, the frustration of being put in danger, and the concept that we can both be out of control and in control at the same time. This is the moment of transformation. This is the time when change is possible. In one sense, we have to play our part as the poet and the songwriter and open ourselves up to a greater connection. Open ourselves up to the fact that we live in a paradoxical world where there is a tenuous connection between our outer world and our inner world that we would do well to foster. And for there to be more peace, more connection, and more creative solutions, we need to find that in ourselves with how we fundamentally make meaning and take refuge. This is no easy task. This is the task of being human at this exciting and overwhelming time, of singing ourselves awake, of finding ourselves in the nature of things, in possibility, deeply connected to ourselves, others, and our beautiful complex world. Make no mistake, our world and our worth are not based on what we consume or what we can achieve. It is not a contest of who has more and who bests who. It is a return to the earth, to our unique humanity, to the peace of wild things. May you be up for the journey. May the winds of change guide your every step, both inner and outer, always. We close with a poem by David White.
Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone. Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone. As if life were a progressive and cunning crime with no witness to the tiny hidden transgressions. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. Surely even you at times have felt the grand array, the swelling presence, and the chorus crowding out your solo voice. You must note the way the soap dish enables you, or the window latch grants you courage. Alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. Alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. The stairs are your mentor of things to come. The doors have always been there to frighten you and invite you. And the tiny speaker in the phone is your dream ladder to divinity. The tiny speaker in the phone is your dream ladder to divinity. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation. The kettle is singing even as it pours you a drink. The cooking pots have left their arrogant aloofness and seen the good in you at last. All the birds and creatures of the world are unutterably themselves. Everything, everything, everything is waiting for you.
Thank you, Laurie. We will now have a moment of silence for those who wish to reflect.